Isn't this a gorgeous machine? I absolutely love this machine. It's changed the way that we are able to do work around our property. Welcome to the Okie Woodsman channel. My name is Joe, and I'm about to say something extremely controversial. I believe that hard to find or proprietary parts have no business being on a tractor. Now you might ask, what is wrong with saying that hard to find and proprietary parts have no business being on a tractor? On a recent video I made about 10 things I hate about my KIOTI CK2620, I found that people cannot stand any criticism about their favorite brand or type of tractor. Just because I was able to find 10 things that I didn't prefer, dislike, or hate about this machine doesn't mean that I think it's a bad machine. It doesn't mean that KIOTI makes a poor quality tractor. It just means that there's some areas of improvement that can be made. One of the most ridiculous things has to do with this right here. See that fitting? Those, my friend, are not easy to find. I purchased all of these fittings and one other bag in order to be able to find out specifically what size this is. And you know what's so crazy about it? I had to use ChatGPT to find out definitively what it was. And even then, it still was not exactly clear because ChatGPT gave me two answers. And the reason why it gave me two answers is because artificial intelligence utilizes the information that it can find published on the internet to give you an answer. The problem is the fact that it gave me two answers proves that there is a lot of bad information online. We're about to lay that to rest with some examples. And the best part is I'm going to be able to tell you specifically, not just a part number from KIOTI, but a actual size for the grease fitting on these machines. Lots of people stick the wrong fittings in their machine, and I was determined not to be one of them. If all you're looking for is the part number for the overpriced brass grease fittings directly from KIOTI, here it is. They do not tell you what size they are. One of the best things you can do is get yourself a lock-in lube grease gun because these brass fittings the ends pull off extremely easily. I broke two of them the very first time I greased the machine, and no doubt there will be someone in the comment section that says, well, that's because you don't know what you're doing, or I've never broken one in 20 years. I find that hard to believe. So according to ChatGPT, this size or a metric size was what was needed. I then told ChatGPT that no, mine is not the metric size, it is the British pipe thread. In which case it said, okay, then what your size is 1/8 by 28, or I'm not exactly sure how to say that, BSPT or British Standard Pipe Thread. Now, when I looked that up, I found them extremely scarce online. You know, it's so funny. Some people are going to roll their eyes saying, this idiot can't even figure out how to replace a grease fitting. Well, that's just the problem. You shouldn't have to figure out how to replace a grease fitting. When I first came out here to test and see if these fittings were going to work, I ran into yet another problem. You see, the brass fittings are a 10mm hex. All right, no problem. The new ones I was able to source are 11mm. And I also found out that a 7/16 socket fits on it. Before I turned the camera on, I wanted to test this out, and I found that an 11mm socket doesn't fit. And a 10mm one does. So I thought, oh, great. Well, let me go see if I can find something in 1/4" drive. That does resolve the issue. A 1/4" drive 11mm socket does fit. At least my old US made Husky ones do. Here's the 7/16 socket. This is an old SK Tools. I'm going to go ahead and just start this off by hand. The threads are much shorter on these, and so they don't thread in as far. There we go. And I also found that the socket likes to get stuck. Now, if you're anything like me, you've purchased other fittings and you're thinking, no, I want to see it actually insert in there. So I have a better example where we can actually see the entire fitting seat, and I'll show you the difference on the National Pipe Thread and the metric grease fittings, just for demonstration's sake. I want to say that this is one of the fittings that I broke before. 10mm from KIOTI. This is the replacement that I purchased from Lock and Lube. Requires the 11mm socket. I want you to notice something. I'm able to thread that in by hand and almost seat that entirely. I like that. And a couple little, maybe a half rotation. That's a tight grease fitting. Just for demonstration's sake, I'm going to remove this, and we're going to look at the other two that people commonly say that they replace the factory ones with. So this is an M10 by 1 metric taper, because that's what I was able to get here locally. So you'll see it starts to thread, and right there we are starting to tighten up pretty significantly. Okay, that's it. I'm not gonna shove those in because I don't want to booger up my threads anymore. Not that I've boogered them up, but I just do not want to booger up my threads. So M10 does not fit. Well, I guess it does in a pinch, but it doesn't fit. Now we'll try the 1/8 inch National pipe thread. Start it off by hand as well. Same exact story. That's all I can thread it in by hand is right there. I'm not even gonna bother trying to tighten it up anymore because it's not the right thread. Let's go back to the 1/8 inch by 28 British pipe thread, and I'll show you how just simple this is. This is the way it was designed to be. And look at that. We are threaded all the way in. Tighten up, and we have a proper fit for this grease fitting. So you might say, hey Joe, what's the big deal? You figured it out, and now you've made it known on the internet, no big deal. Well, the problem is you can't just go to the store and buy these. They're not just available at Napa, AutoZone, or O'Reilly. I already tried all those places. If you go on eBay, you can find some, but some of them are pretty darn expensive, like over $1 each. And then one other major issue is the lack of variety. You see, it's common in grease fittings and standard sizes to be able to find straight fittings, 90s, and 45s. Lock and Lube had the proper size in 90 degree. Those can come in super handy in particular locations, but what I really want is a 45. The problem is I simply could not find 45 degree 1/8 inch by 28 British pipe thread fittings. Well, I did on eBay, but I want to say it was like $7 for two, and they looked like they were cast in a child's play school set or something. They just looked terrible from the pictures. I wouldn't mind putting like a 45 here, and one that I really wanted was for that fitting down in there. My standard Lock and Lube does not fit down in that location, and that is also a brass fitting, so I had put the standard grease fitting on there, filled it with grease, and then could not get it off. I tried loosening the collar, and I don't remember how I ultimately got it off. I think I grabbed like 2 pairs of channel locks and like tried to pry up equally on both sides as to not break it. I did end up finding another tool that I'm going to test out in another video to see if it's worth a darn. That's just another case of, you know, if I wanted to add some sort of extension or remote, or, you know, kind of just put some sort of nipple on there to get it up a little bit higher so I could put a 90 degree fitting on it or something. Because this is a non-standard, not readily available size, it becomes difficult for no good reason. Now, can you see all the controversy? I can just see the comments now. Someone's gonna get offended and tell me to sell the tractor. That's actually what happened in that 10 Things I Hate video. People said, quit your whining. They said, just go sell the tractor. Or they said, you should have bought a John Deere or a Kubota. Now, please tell me, in the review section on Lock and Lube, I believe, or maybe somewhere else on that size, I heard that even TYM uses that British standard pipe thread as well. Let me know. If you know what your size is on your Kubota machine, your John Deere, your TYM, your LS, your Mahindra, or whatever, please share down below, because this is a phenomenal resource. ChatGPT no doubt had a real good probability of looking through all the comment sections, all the forums, and all of that to find the information. Good, accurate information is really critical to be able to post online, and it really helps guys like me out that are new to their machine. If you've discovered something like this and spent 30 bucks on fittings like I have, trying to find out what the size is so you can just get some on hand, you know, I can get them from the KIOTI dealer, but I would prefer having something other than the straight through grease fittings, and I wouldn't mind having an option other than brass. The price wasn't too bad through the KIOTI dealer, but my particular dealer had to actually order them in for me. That's something to remember and something to think about. Guys, if this video was helpful to you, make sure you go ahead and share that down below. Share it to any of your friends with a KIOTI tractor or another machine similar. Thank you for being here. Make sure you check out the channel. We don't just talk about things like this. We do work our equipment, and we're busy developing our rural Oklahoma property, and we'd love to have you. Isn't this a gorgeous machine? I absolutely love this machine. It's changed the way that we are able to do work around our property. And check this out. We're packing in the firewood. We got more back there. Another tote full down there. Things are going well around here.